Last night was coal night at Dave's, and I got out some coal elevators, number 97 from Lionel. And I assume that these are all post-war, although I don't know the difference between a pre-war and a post-war, other than the 42 model, which had the uprights painted gray. They came with a bag of coal, which was just some chopped up, ground up Bakelite, and that's number 207. It's about 8 ounces or so. And I just put a bag of coal in front of each elevator, except for this 206. This is about, I'd say, 12 ounces, and it's also ground up Bakelite, just a bigger bag. And I know that the 206 only came out before the war. The elevators were made from 38 to 42, and then again from 46 to 50, although the coal bags, the number 207, smaller one, I think extended into 1959 because it was used with other accessories. And then I found this bigger bag while I was digging through things, and I thought, wow, there's a bigger bag of coal. But it's actually a number 919. It's artificial grass, and so it's just a bunch of green sawdust, if you can see down inside the bag. But that's the same color as the carpet, green sawdust, same printing. And then this is what a dumping hopper looked like before the war. Actually, they used these after the war too, with knuckle couplers. So anyway, I'm going to take a look and see what the differences are, see which one is in better shape and keep it, and probably sell 2 or 3 of them. And I did notice one difference. This one right here has the buckets mounted upside down, so when it's scooping coal out of this, there's a little solenoid that kicks it up, it wouldn't work. But assuming that it did work, it goes up and holds itself right there, and then there's another solenoid that opens, and then this strip drops down into a hopper car. And so the idea was to have a track behind and a track in front of, about 15 inches on center, and so you could dump one, go around, and then fill it, come around, and have a lot of fun. When you're buying these, it's good to look for cracks in the scoop, to look for cracks in the base, which isn't to say you couldn't fix it. And one of the things that's always bent on these, it seems, is when people slide the roof off, they push this way and it causes a crease here, and most that you find have that crease, and that's kind of frustrating. And the other thing to look at is just condition of paint and rust. But all of these 4 are serviceable, and we'll take this one apart and see if we can fix the buckets. I've got the coal loader hooked up to power, and the motor works. The chain started moving, but it popped right off that sprocket right away. You can see that bucket tips up with the solenoid. And also I took the roof off, and you can see that gate opens so that it can go down the coal chute. I just hooked a jumper from number 1 to number 3 to test this, and I'm going to remove this screw. You can see that, and then I'm going to squeeze or actually spread the building apart and kick this out. I've got the screw out. I've got the top of the conveyor separated, so everything's pretty loose except for it looks like I need to remove one more screw to get it separated from that solenoid. It's a Phillips Philister head. It looks like it's in there pretty tight, so I think I'm going to put a little penetrant right there and let it soak for a little bit and come back to it. Well, I couldn't get the screw out from that solenoid, so I just removed the solenoid from the bottom. So that's loose. Now I've got the elevator itself loose, but I can't really get it out until I remove the motor. So here we go. So to remove the motor, I've got to loosen these two screws. And with everything, if it's worth fixing, it's worth fixing right. And I don't mind taking this apart because this all needs cleaning, and it'll be a lot easier to clean with all the parts off, and I can also get the rust out of those screw heads. Now just getting a little bit deeper. There's a set screw on this gear sprocket. Got that loosened. There's a set screw on that gear. Take that off and should be able to just slide that off of there. And I have access to the buckets. Now I need to figure out how to get this turned around. Either I remove this pin or I remove a link on the chain and then put it back. I'll see which it is. Well, it turns out that I don't have to take the chain off at all because it's symmetrical. All I have to do is turn this over 180 degrees, and now the buckets are facing the right way. So while I was pulling this out the top, I see that another bucket came off, so I'm missing two buckets, one here and one here. So I'm going to clip those back on and put it back together. The buckets are back on, and luckily I turned these by hand, and I got to a place where there's a bind. So I think there might be something wrong with the chain. Back to the drawing board. So there's the problem right there. One of the chain links, you can see the wire is going to come in contact with the gear. All right, needle nose pliers to the rescue. It's all back together. And before I fire it up, I thought I'd check. I don't think this solenoid and the motor and the solenoid up in the hopper are supposed to all go on at the same time, and sure enough, you've got, well, first of all, power goes on this side, so that's always hot, and then controls go on this side. They're numbered 1, 2, and 3, and so 1 would be to the motor and the front solenoid. 2 would be to the solenoid up top to open this hopper, and then number 3 would be your common ground. So sure enough, I turn this upside down, and 1 and 2 are both stuck on 1, so somebody's clipped off number 2 and soldered it on 1. And so I'm going to take and move this back to where it was originally, and then I can control both solenoids separately. It's always helpful to have another one just to confirm, and there's the wiring on a correct one. There's another one, same way, confirmed. All right, I got this screw replaced. I broke the head off when I was trying to get it out, and turns out it's a 436, and luckily I had one on hand, so that's replaced and all cleaned up. And I've got power, probably about 8 or 10 volts, maybe a little bit more, on the left hand side with the alligator clips. And then on the right hand side, I've got a jumper wire on number 3, which should be the ground. And then if I touch it to 1, we should get the front solenoid and the motor. Yep. And then if I do number 2 with the ground, that little door should open up. Dump the coal. So let's put some coal in and give it a try. I may regret it, but I opened a bag of coal, the number 207, and it is ground up Bakelite. And so I'm going to turn on the elevator and see what happens. Well, it wasn't quite enough coal, so I'm going to add a little bit more, get a little more messy. Okay, see what happens here. Hopefully that's enough to dump out the back. Well, as you can see, this is going to be a lot of fun. Well, thanks for watching.